Hey everyone, VortexTCG here, and today I've got the first gameplay video of me playing UlforceVeedramon, and my opponent on the right is going to be playing Jellymon with the new support. And if you're looking forward to this video, please do like and subscribe to the channel. I'm doing something different with this video. Previously I would end up recording this on a different program, but now I'm trying Premiere Pro, and I want to hear you guys' feedback. I've also tried to up the quality of the video this time, and hopefully in the next couple of gameplay videos there'll also be a different camera angle and a lot more going on, because I want to upgrade the setup, and I think it's in dire need of a setup because I think these angles are not that great in certain situations. So I'm going to be getting to the gameplay now. So I'm going to go into the RB01. Don't get a tamer, because of course you don't. I end of the turn by playing the V-Tamer Tai Kamiya. This is one that I've got more access to now because of RB01 Resurgence Booster, because this card was, I believe, not a lot expensive, but like decently expensive. So now that I've got a play set now, I feel a lot more confident about it for sure. So my opponent is going to go up now, gets free memory, doesn't have a tamer out yet, which is good for me, but he does get one now by playing the RB01 Tesla Jellymon, which will then allow him to play a Kiyoshiro. And I believe the Kiyoshiro he's going to play is the one that provides jamming, and this one I believe is still probably one of the better ones that you could be playing in this deck. Just gaining jamming and the constant ability to unsuspend is very, very strong. So he's going to swing at security, I believe, goes to draw a card, and as he is able to draw a card from an effect, he's able to return the Vmon to the hand. And one of the things I was definitely worried about in this situation was the fact that my opponent might have gone into a level 5 to get rid of my RB01. I feel like at that point I could have possibly been in a lot more trouble, because I don't know how I'd be able to recover from that, except for essentially, well, it's a bit of an awkward situation for sure. So he ends up not going until he goes to the VortexTCG. This is the one that you can digivolve from hand from a Jellymon by putting one underneath, I believe. So very interesting, but I think the reason why you end up playing this one is just due to the fact that it has a good inheritable. I believe the first one doesn't have a good inheritable, and the RB01 and the BT31 have the good inheritable. So yeah, so I decided to swing into the Tesla Jellymon here, because I feel like I need to essentially start clearing the board a little bit, because I don't really want my opponent to threaten potential win on this turn, because I feel like if I leave it up like this, definitely could potentially win on this turn. So he goes into the promo Amphimon, and I believe this one allows him to discard 2, and then I think in this situation allows him to trash sources and then maybe return a tamer, or is that the RB01 one? I can't remember, but he trashed the bottom 2 sources from the RB01, so now it's just no inheritables at all. But I believe he gained some memory here by trashing cards as well, which is quite annoying, because now he could potentially swing into the RB01. Luckily for me, I do have a little bit of setup in the back now with the Veedramon, but in the previous turn I definitely didn't have an answer, so definitely feeling a little bit more confident. So he swings into the area of Veedramon just to limit the plays, and I can't really blame him at all for that. So now it's just a case of how does he want to end his turn, and in this case I believe he's going to be playing the set to 3 Kiyoshiro, which allows him to draw 1 if he has 7 cards or lower in his hand. So definitely a good one for the archetype. So here I decided to go into Tai Kamiya, draw 1, because I think at this point I was not able to find the UlforceVeedramon here, and I think on the RB01s I've essentially searched 2 times now. So yeah, it doesn't feel great when you search with RB01 and 2 Ulforces are there as well. So in this situation, I am able to get the Ulforce X antibody, allows me to unsuspend himself and then return one of the lowest levels, and the only level there is Amphimon, so we will return that to the hand. And At this point, I feel like I'm in pretty decent control, but with Jellymon, you can potentially win out of nowhere. So something that I have to definitely be careful of. So now he's going to be able to potentially Digivolve into the Jellymon. And I don't have blocker, so if he's able to get a lot of swings going on here, he might end up actually just winning, because I can't really do much about the ongoing threat at this point. So he goes into Tesla Jellymon, and this is arguably the best one he could potentially get. Allows him to swing 2 times essentially, and yeah, it's definitely strong. But I think at this point he just doesn't have the memory to do much. So he swings 1 time, obviously has jamming, and then he's able to trash 2 to unsuspend. And I think it's just a case of, am I able to get rid of this on my turn, and also prepare myself for the following turn now, because he decides to go into Fetusmon here to trash 3, I believe. I can't remember if it was 3, but it could be 3. And I think this stuns something from being suspended, so you can't suspend the guy. So I think in this situation, it's the Ulforce X he decides to stop suspending. So I think that is, not great. My deck kind of wants to suspend. So here I go into Taikamiya to draw 1 again. This Taikamiya is really good. When I was playing it before, I didn't have access to it, but now I do, and it definitely does make a huge difference for the deck. So at this point, just trying to figure out what I need to do to make sure that I am alive for this turn. So I decided to go into the Rena, and of course I get the Rena that I'm looking for here. And I know a lot of people are going to be wondering why I play the Rena. I feel like my deck list is definitely a lot more greedy. And if you want to see a deck list for this, by the way, let me know in the comment section down below. But I'm playing a little bit more greedy, but also a little bit more consistent. I essentially came to the conclusion that all I need is free memory. So if I'm able to get free memory... Oh, he must have... maybe I don't understand the Fetusmon effect completely. But I think he needs to have 0 sources for it to be stunned. So it might have stunned one of the Tamers. So the reason why I play this Rena over something like the blue memory boost is because I actually think the Rena in this situation does a lot more for the deck, especially as you're playing RB01, which allows you to activate an on-play effect of Arena. And in this case, getting another search is very, very strong, and you can constantly do that while building up your next board if the Ulforce was to go. And I think that's very strong for the deck. I think a lot of people just go for the memory boost so they have enough memory, but if you have the Davis out, you're pretty much able to do anything. So I don't think it's much of an issue in my opinion. So at this point, my opponent is on free memory, and he definitely could potentially be doing a lot of stuff. But he decides to swing, I believe, into security with jamming. He's still using effects here, so almost activated beforehand, and then hits the Veedramon in security. It doesn't really matter, so lucky him, I guess. And then he plays the V-Wing Blade to return the Ulforce to the hand, and that is definitely very frustrating. Let me put it that way, because there's not really much you can do about bouncing in this deck. It's weird. This deck is just all bounce, but it can't deal with bounce. So I go into the arrow here, the starter deck one, and I also go to the Taikamiya to draw additional card. Swing at security, has jamming, so it's perfectly fine. I then unsuspend to go into the UlforceVeedramon for 4, and then is able to play a Tamer. In this case, I think I'm just checking here which one I want to play, and I played the BT. Is this BT11? I can't even remember what set this is from. Is it BT11? It's BT11, I think. Rena, which allows me to gain evade and was it blocker? Jesus, I can't remember my own deck apparently. But essentially, this also bounces the Fetusmon back to the hand, so I'm definitely feeling a little bit more confident now. My opponent's only at free memory, so I doubt he's able to essentially swing for game here, especially as he has a Jellymon. If he had a Tesla Jelly, the one that unsuspends, I think I could be potentially in a bit of trouble here, but I don't think he has enough to essentially do that this turn. So I could be wrong though. Definitely been wrong in the past about this deck. But he plays the blue memory boost, and I think that just says everything, unfortunately. Like, he just doesn't have the answers that he needs. He finds the Tesla Jellymon that he needed, but at this point, there's not really much use, unfortunately. So he plays Startling Thunder, I believe this is, and he misread the card. He thought he was able to bounce a Digimon and a Tamer, but he can't do that because he doesn't have a Jellymon on the field. So very unfortunate for my opponent, but read your cards. Important, I say. I can't read most of the time, so I don't know where that's coming from for me. So I decided to swing with the arrow, play another Tamer, unsuspend, get an additional memory, and then do 2 checks. So I'm feeling very confident at this point, and I decided to boost up the DP as well, just to make sure that it doesn't die in security somehow. Doesn't die, swing again, and then go into Amphimon for game. We then get into game 2, and my opponent's going to start off here. He goes into the promo Jellymon here, and then he's going to be able to pass turn by going into mystery card. We don't know what it is. Could be anything. It's a Kirishiro, so that tells me that he doesn't have the RB01 Kirishiro, because I feel like he would have instantly played that on the following turn, but clearly doesn't have it. So I play a Davis here, and I think at this point I was lacking a level 3, maybe? I can't remember fully, but I think here I was having trouble because I couldn't find level 3 at all. So I was like, that's not great at all. So he goes into the RB01 Tesla Jelly. So I wasn't expecting that, because I thought he would want to, play the Kirishiro for free. But in this case, he just decides to hard play it, and he isn't really punished for it. So I guess it is worked out for him. He goes into the blue memory boost and then adds the Fetismon to hand. And I'm pretty sure that's the card that he needs the most in this situation, because I think we were talking, he was just like, no level 5 until then. So I think at this point I'm really struggling. I think my play here, unfortunately, is to Digivolve onto a Lanamon here. And the reason why I do this is because I just need the draw. If I don't have a draw here for the next turn, and the next turn isn't a level 3, I feel like I don't really have much going on. So I end up going into the RB01 to provide myself a little bit more protection. Sure, it's probably going to get source stripped from the Fetismon, but I'd rather have, a guy out there instead of nothing at this point, because that's the biggest problem that I have at the moment. So he decides to then go into another Kirishiro here. This is the jamming one, swings into security, and it hits a arena. In this case, I'm still not finding that rookie, which is very frustrating, but at least I've got a Tamer out now. So if he was able to go into a Fetismon to pass turn, and if I have the Ulforce, I'm also able to then bounce back the Fetismon, because I now have an additional Tamer in play. So definitely a good security call from me, for me anyways. So he decides to, I think he was going to swing again, but he decides to bounce back the Tamer again. So bit of a weird play, because I feel like there isn't really a reason to do that, because now I'm essentially able to start controlling the field pretty easily. So I go into the Ulforce here, and it still doesn't pass my turn, so it still will be my turn at the end of this, which is pretty good. So I play the arena and then return the the Tesla Jelly. So yeah, I feel like my opponent might have misplayed there. Maybe, I don't know actually, maybe he should have gone into the Fetismon to avoid the situation and then Startling. I'm not too sure. So I swing, get to play a Tamer out, get to play the arena in this situation, get to add one V card, and then put the rest at the bottom, and it's a Startling Thunder, but nothing happens in this situation because it doesn't have a Digimon with Jellymon in text out on the field, and it doesn't help it doesn't work from the raising area. So lucky for me, I guess. So I then go for, I think I'm considering a swing again, so I swing again, hit to security, nothing there, and I think at this point my opponent can't really do much to come back from this, so I end up just passing the turn by playing a Taikamiya. I don't think my opponent has an answer, unfortunately, especially as, well, he can bounce it back to the hand, but even if he was able to bounce it back to the hand, which he does in this situation, I'm essentially able to go into the Vmon for games. So I promote the Vmon, and in funny fashion, I decide to, Ice Wall and end the game.